There are many different types of ways that sports can be dangerous. There's always a risk factor that athletes choose to conquer when participating in these amazing sports. We've seen people perform person-to-person contact sports and non-contact sports and get severely injured. Today, we'll examine the top 10 most dangerous sports in the world. You won't believe some of the insane sports that these courageous athletes participate in. Let's begin. Helicopter skiing. We've all heard of skiing on slopes, but have you ever seen someone jump out of a helicopter and land directly onto a remote mountaintop and ski straight down? What could go wrong, right? Well, a lot. So much can happen to an athlete if they're not careful. Failure to jump out of the helicopter correctly could result in an immediate crash landing and cause severe muscular and skeletal injuries. If you want to give helicopter skiing a go, the sport is very common in British Columbia along the border of Alaska. Make sure you wear the right gear. Cheerleading. Cheerleaders compete by throwing themselves in the air and doing all sorts of dangerous flips and tricks that lead to cheerleading being number 9 on today's list. Every year, there's an average of about 20,000 mild to severe injuries due to cheerleading. From sprained wrists to cracked ribs to spine strains and neck sprains, cheerleaders risk it all when they compete. Even if they compete at a professional level with years and years of experience, injuries are very common in the cheer world. Luge. A car can go 90 miles per hour easily, and thanks to luging, so can people. Imagine a long half-pipe on a frozen track where athletes lay on their backs and throw themselves down the lane. The goal? To not be thrown off the pipe. This sport is so dangerous that in 2010, during a training run for the Winter Olympics competition in British Columbia, Nomar Kumaritashvili, a Georgian luger, unfortunately flew off the half-pipe and fatally crashed. Luging is an incredibly dangerous sport, but is also a very loved sport for anyone who's a fan of the Winter Olympics. Racing. Anything that can go round and round on a racetrack over 200 miles per hour is prone to be dangerous. Racing has led to over 40 deaths in the last 20 years. However, the security that has grown within the sport is immense thanks to the introduction of new construction to the race cars. They're now able to withstand the high-speed crashes that professional drivers risk going through. This past February, Ryan Newman, a NASCAR driver, was unfortunately the victim of a horrible crash at Daytona. Thankfully, he's alive and recovering. People have also been questioning the safety of the drivers while racing since this almost deadly accident. Gymnastics. Like cheerleading, gymnastics is a very dangerous sport that can result in numerous injuries. Strength, flexibility, and balance are a necessity to ensure you don't fall during a stunt. It's truly scary the amount of injuries that gymnasts risk getting. Gymnastics has witnessed horrible falls and spinal injuries. Bone fractures and sprains are very common in the gymnastics world. An unfortunate fatality occurred in 2019 when college student Melanie Coleman had a tragic fall off the uneven bars. These athletes endure crazy risks when competing in this intense sport. Unfortunately, there isn't much gymnasts can do to prevent these injuries except double-checking any material they use and practicing, even though things could go wrong at any moment. Bull riding. Many of us have probably ridden mechanical bulls and tried not to fall off, but bull riding with live bulls in a ring is an actual sport, and a very dangerous one for that matter. The goal is to ride the angry bull and not fall off. Seems easy. But when a live bull is shaking and jumping and running in circles, it's nearly impossible and extremely dangerous. Neck and head injuries are very common in this sport. Riders risk falling off and not only suffering from the fall, but risk possibly being attacked by the bull once they fall off. Bull riding is essentially fighting against a bull. 36% of bull riding injuries are severe and irreversible. Soccer. The frequency of injuries in soccer is actually quite high. 7 out of 10 soccer matches will be stopped at some point so a player can be checked out by a medic. Leg muscle and ligament injuries are the most common, but bodily injuries can happen at any moment. Soccer players tend to fall and can get hurt if they crash into another player, causing a contact-to-contact interference, or if another player's cleats hit them. There have been over 45,000 injuries just within the past 5 years in soccer, making this one of the most dangerous sports in the world. Boxing is a very hazardous sport. Getting repeatedly punched in the head by a heavyweight athlete is excruciatingly painful and risky. Protective gear has and continues to be developed, but that still isn't enough to withstand the heavy blows of a heavy punch. 90% of boxers suffer some type of brain damage or injury. They're also prone to developing neural diseases such as Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. Jallika 2. Jallika 2 is a sport in India that's played mostly during the event of Pongal, which is a way people say thanks to the harvest that feed them. Jallika 2 is the activity of bull taming, another sport involving an angry bull. It's very dangerous to both the human and the bull. Basically, the player must catch and subdue the bull as it's released into an open field. This extremely dangerous sport has caused over 200 deaths over the past 20 years. Base jumping. Coming in at number 1, we have base jumping. We've all seen skydiving before, but these courageous athletes simply throw themselves off of a base, which stands for buildings, antennas, spans, and earth. All they have to hold on to is their parachutes. It takes a lot of courage to jump into as many possible risks. Over the past 20 years, there have been over 383 deaths due to base jumping. Yep, that's right, deaths. Base jumping is the deadliest sport in the world, and there really isn't a way to make it any safer. There you have it, the top 10 most dangerous sports in the world. Though fun, these sports all have great risks, and the daredevil athletes who attempt them deserve all the applause we can give. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.